Hello everyone. I've decided to do a video on my honest view of secession, and generally why, as right now I don't really think it's a good idea. Let me just put this out here. I am from the South, but if most southern states decide they did want to secede, and I'm not talking about Texas, because Texas talks that shit like all the time, but like more normal southern states decided to do it, then I would support it because that's my home and they are my people. So then I would support secession. I don't know, I guess I'd be, kind of like Robert E. Lee, because he wasn't like really pro-secessionist. He wasn't going to fight against his native state of Virginia, and because they were his people and that's where his family is from. So I guess that's my kind of way of thinking. Like, I do it out of honor to my history, my culture, my family, and the place I live. Now, with that being said, I really think secession, for specifically the right wing, would be a bad idea, The reason is because when in regards to separatism in the United States, it really depends on which side of the spectrum you're on and how you'll be treated. Like, if you try to secede and you're on the right and you actually try it with arms and stuff, I have a feeling like it would be a mix of Sherman's march through Georgia with a mix of Waco, Texas. Like, I just don't think it would end well, honestly. I think it would be a fight to the extermination of possibly either side. I don't know, because I don't see, for one, we look at the military today, the military is not the same as it was in the 1800s. You had many war veterans who decided to fight for the South, who fought in the Mexican-American War. And you had plenty of generals who were part of the American Army, but then they joined the Confederate States of America, because that's who they sided with. So you had pretty good generals. But today, you look at the generals who are in the ranks of the military, and you have to wonder to yourself, I don't really trust them, And I think a good example is that with the entire thing when I guess Donald Trump was trying to call martial law or something to stop the BLM rioters or whatever. You remember it happened, I think, around the summer, and the military, they straight up refused the president, who, we have to remember, he was the civilian control over the military, which that means that's basically civilian control is lost. And then two, you already have a bunch of generals now who are a bunch of pencil pushers, pretty much. You may not really have any real loyalty to anywhere they were born or a country. It would just be to the status quo. So think about that. And another thing, I could easily see the Air Force or drones flying and, killing civilians indiscriminately. I don't think they would care. Like, if you wanted to secede, then you have to make sure that was if the South wanted to, then they would have to make sure that's a war they would fight to make sure they win. Or it would be extermination, ultimately, because I wouldn't put it past the military or the government. And then two, look at the people who's joining the military today. People in the past used to join the military because they thought, oh, I'm serving my country I'm joining because my forefathers were in the military, out of the military tradition. And you still have some of those. You still have some people joining because, oh, my forefathers did it, and I want to honor them. And that's kind of my thought. Like, I don't want to go to any war, but maybe someday I will join the National Guard, even though they are kind of derpy. But, if I don't get sent to any war, I also get some military practice, and I can still honor my ancestors in that way. I may do that after college, of course, because then, hey, there's a part of me that kind of wants to become an officer, you know? And then maybe after that, a lawyer. But, so yeah, you still have people like that. But you also have just plain out poor people. You're kind of lumping proletariat motherfuckers who don't really have a loyalty to the country or to any region of the United States. And they're just joining because, oh, I want freer college, you know, or just get out of a bad life. So when people are disconnected from the country, they're gonna have a lot easier time crushing you, you know, they will. So that's another reason. And then another reason, I mean, you have a lot of immigrants or people who are not citizens who end up joining the military. Are they going to be necessarily loyal to any region of the United States? Not really. So you have to think of that. You also have to take that into account, that I don't really ever see peaceful secession happening, because I don't see the government as of right now ever really letting that happen. And I don't know if it would be so cut and dry where, oh, you get plenty of generals who were in the military before who decides to join the secessionists because that's where they're from, and have plenty of vets. And I bet you would get some vets and probably some officers, but as of right now, I don't really trust many of these generals, you know. So I'm not very trustworthy of today's military. They're not fighting for the same reasons, joining for the same reason as the past. So I guess as a recap, I would still support the South if they just decide to secede, because they are my people and this is where my family is from. However, I think it's a terrible idea. So I guess that's where I'm kind of at. And you would need to make sure that it was a war that you would need to make sure to win, ultimately, or it would probably be extermination. Which, I mean, that probably won't happen anyway, secession, so... But I feel like I'm more to the point of subverting the system. That's where I'm at. Taking on a more Machiavellian view of politics. That's where I think is the way to victory. Alright, well, hope you liked it.